you know, I did write that column on Philly Mag yesterday, in which I argued that you can be both supportive of the rioters and angry at the looters at the same time. Not everybody shares my sentiment, but I think a lot of people share the anger at the looting.
Can you sum up what you said in your article?
Well, basically, I mentioned the guy whose Minneapolis restaurant got burned, got torched after he put up a sign saying minority owned in it. And as he was watching it burn, he said out loud, and his daughter posted on Facebook, "Let my restaurant burn. Justice must be served. Put those police in jail."
Wow.
And then I mentioned the woman who came up to me yesterday morning as I was standing looking inside the looted Rite Aid, where I wasn't going to be able to get cash from my bank's ATM, which they tried to break into, but it looks like they didn't. And she comes up and she immediately goes on a tear. These ain't no LaSalle students. They're all home. This ain't about no George Floyd. These are crazy people taking advantage of the situation. And I'm black, and today I'm ashamed to be black. They treat us like animals because we act like animals. And she was a regular patron at the store. She lived right on the other side of it on Worcester Street. That was her drugstore. That's where she gets her medicine. She screwed for a while until they fixed up the store. And I'm thankful that they didn't hit the Fresh Grocer the way they hit the Fox Street store or Park West Shopping Center, which, as you know, got torched completely. It's in a sense cutting off your nose to spite your face. And I have to agree with the woman. Why would people trash their own neighborhoods like this?
Do you have an answer for that?
Pure opportunism. Lots of people want to make a quick buck without having to do anything for it. I know what happened with the contents of the Rite Aid because somebody I see on my block fairly often approached me with a bag full of OTC medicines. And he had bottles of booze, which tells me that the State Store on West Chelton must have gotten hit too.
Yes, it did.
It's pure opportunism. We can't do anything else. Now, this is an area where probably left and right will differ. The right will tell you that what we need to do is, make sure there is order, discipline, deep policing, yada, yada. And the left will tell you what these people need are jobs. And I think, like I said in my essay, here too, they're both right. The looters are able to take advantage of the situation because the police are stretched thin. Dealing with protesters and other things and all that stuff on Saturday. But at the same time, we have all these people out here scrounging for a buck because they're not able to earn a buck legitimately. I mean, I don't know what the unemployment rate is in my little corner of East Germantown, but I suspect it's higher than the statewide or citywide averages.
Have you seen Mark Lamont Hill's video about the difference between rioting and rebellion?
I have not, and maybe I should. I don't know how he would characterize it. Here, I don't think it's a rebellion. Things are pretty peaceful until the anarchists and their ilk set things off in Center City. And I'm actually kind of pissed at them because, in essence, they're hijacking an agenda for their own. We have a legitimate issue, which is that cops way too often seem to ignore, deny, what have you, our humanity when they stop us because they think we might be doing something wrong or because we did something wrong. As somebody pointed out, this guy passed a bad $20 bill. For that, he should pay with his life. You know, what's the saying? The punishment should fit the crime. It didn't there. And at least historically, when cops have been in situations like that, they've gotten off the hook. That's only now beginning to change. And that's in part because folks have gotten so pissed off, they're getting ugly. They're taking it to the streets. You've probably heard that lesser known Martin Luther King quote that's gotten unearthed because of the riots in Minneapolis. A riot is the voice of the unheard.
Yeah.
That was Martin Luther King in 1967.
Yeah. That's toward the end of his life, right?
Right. Somebody asked me why we still talk about things that happened half a century or more ago in the country. And I say, it's because in this country, the losers didn't quit when they lost. We let the losers write the history of the Civil War. We let them back in after we got tired of keeping them in their place after Reconstruction. You know, we have cycles of progress and cycles of retrenchment, and there seem to be triggering events. And in retrospect, it looks like the election of Barack Obama, which was a high watermark, was also a triggering event. We can't escape it, which is not the same as saying, as a friend of mine said, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That's also not true. We're disproportionately poor still, sure, but the middle class is the biggest it's ever been. Legally mandated segregation is a thing of the past, and there's no sign that it will return. Our vote is protected, even though the Supreme Court has chipped away at some of those protections. You know, we can go to even the best colleges in the country. So to say that, you know, everything's gotten worse is equally untrue. But as we progress, the problems that persist become all the more intolerable. I'm hoping this is right. I'm fearing it may not be, but I'm hoping it is that we now have some people who are living in the city who are invested in its survival, who aren't necessarily looking at the danger in purely racial terms. You know, I think that there are a lot of white folks who seem not to have gotten the message that there are a lot of black folks who are no more happy about this than they are. You know, like that woman I ran into at the Rite Aid.
Right. Well, how did she make you feel when she was saying about how she's ashamed? Like,
Yeah.
how did that resonate on you?
I felt it was maybe just a little harsh, but I understood where she was coming from. It's one thing to, you know, let me put it this way. Okay, if I'm going to compare acts of violence, that wasn't setting a Minneapolis police station on fire.
Fair enough.
Okay? That was a properly directed act of violence. They picked the right target. Okay? You know, looting a drugstore that your neighbors depend on for their everyday good needs is harmful to your neighbors, counterproductive, and it muddles the message. You know, I just read something about looting on 52nd Street, you know, and most of the businesses that got trashed and looted there were small, independently owned businesses owned by blacks.
Wow.
If they were really interested in the movement for black empowerment, why would they loot their own? The person who offered me the medicines and whatnot, I don't think I've spoken with him, and I don't think I've ever heard him speak that length on police brutality or systematic racism or any of that good stuff.